Before we start, if you enjoy the story, please leave a like and check if you're subscribed. The blood on the arena floor wasn't his. Jack's work stood over the twitching form of his opponent, a Crithian enforcer with 4 arms and chitin plating that had taken 3 rounds to crack. The crowd's roar washed over him like a physical force, thousands of alien voices screaming in languages learned to read by tone rather than meaning. He rolled his shoulders, feeling the pull of bruised muscle beneath skin slick with sweat. The Crithian had been good. But good didn't matter when you fought like you had nothing left to lose. Victor. Human. Jack's work. Scrit's mechanical voice echoed through the amphitheater. The arena master descended on repulsor pads, his segmented body gleaming under harsh lights. 6 eyes on stalks swiveled to examine the fallen Crithian. Entertaining, as always, Scrit said. Jack bent to retrieve his discarded shirt, torn to shreds during a grapple that had gotten too close. He wadded it up, using it to wipe green blood from his knuckles. The gate sealed behind them with a pneumatic hiss as he headed for the prep room. Rafe waited in the corridor, leaning against the wall with practiced ease. "Thought he had you in round 2, Rafe said. He thought so too. The fighter's prep room was empty, save for a med scanner. Jax activated it, letting it map his injuries. 3 cracked ribs, deep tissue bruising, minor lacerations. Nothing unusual. Before he could apply the tissue patches, Scrit's voice crackled through the comm. "Jack's work. Your presence is requested in the primary arena. Immediately." Rafe's hand dropped to his hip. "That's not protocol." "No." Jax grabbed a replacement shirt and headed for the door. "If I'm not back in an hour, clear my accounts and disappear." The fighter's gate opened before he reached it. Beyond, the arena floor had been cleared, but the crowd remained. More beings packed the stands now, their attention focused on 3 figures waiting at center floor. Jack stepped through, letting the gate seal behind him. Scrit stood to one side. The other 2 didn't belong anywhere near a gladiatorial arena. The first wore formal Asharia combat armor, deep purple with gold accents, but it was the second figure that made his stride falter. Female, Ashari. Wearing minimal armor that left her arms bare and did nothing to hide the curves beneath fitted black material. Pink skin glowed under the arena lights. Pinted ears rose from long pink hair that fell past her shoulders. A tail, the same shade as her hair, curved behind her with fluid air came to goods for her. She was beautiful in the way a blade was beautiful. Her amber eyes met his across 10 meters of sand, utterly certain her superiority. "May I present Ambassador Kelfrin of the Ashari Empire and her champion, Valenia." The ambassador inclined her head precisely. "Human. The Asharia Empire has observed your performance. Your species claims strength, yet refuses membership in the Galactic Council. We find this contradictory." Jack stopped 3 meters away. "I don't speak for humanity. I speak for myself. Yet you represent your species every time you fight," the ambassador continued. "I find that irrelevant," Valenia's tail lashed once. "Arrogant. Your kind always assumes individual strength matters. That you can ignore that you're a footnote in a galaxy older than your species' recorded history. Valenia serves as the Empire's champion," the ambassador said smoothly. "She has requested the honor of testing your capability personally." The crowd's noise level rose. "Do you, Jack's work, accept?" Scrit began. "Yes!" Valenia smiled and began removing her formal armor, letting it fall in pieces. Beneath it, she wore a form-fitting combat suit. She moved with weaponized confidence. "Now," she said. The ambassador stepped back. Scrit retreated to the arena's edge. The crowd roared. Jax pulled off his shirt and tossed it aside. Valenia's eyes tracked across his chest, cataloging scars and muscle. Professional assessment shifting from dismissive to merely confident. "Submit or unconsciousness." Scrit announced. "Weapons prohibited. Death discouraged but not penalized." Valenia moved. She closed the distance in a blur, tail whipping out while her fist drove toward his jaw. He slipped left, caught the tail, and yanked. She twisted midair, turning momentum into a kick that caught his shoulder and sent him sliding back. Fast. She was incredibly fast. They circled. Valenia's movements were economical, each step balanced. Military training, but more. She'd been fighting since childhood. She attacked again. A flurry of strikes he blocked by millimeters. Her tail wrapped around his ankle mid-combination. He jumped, delivering a knee toward her ribs. She took it on her forearm. They separated, breathing harder. "Better than you look," she said. "I'll take that as a compliment." "Don't." She pressed the attack, forcing him back. Her style was relentless. Constant pressure. Multiple angles. Using her tail as an additional limb. She landed a solid hit to his ribs, where the Crithian had cracked them. Pain lanced through his side. He retaliated, his longer reach becoming an advantage. She blocked, but her stance wavered. He pressed harder. Then she stepped into his guard, accepting a blow to deliver a brutal elbow to his jaw. His head snapped back. She could have finished it. Instead, she came at him head-on, meeting strength with strength rather than using her speed advantage. Pride. That mistake cost her. Jax caught her next strike, locked her arm, and flipped her over his hip. She hit the sand hard, rolling away. They both came to their feet simultaneously. Sweat made her skin shine. A cut on her lip leaked purple-tinged blood. Her hair had come loose, and her eyes blazed with something beyond competition. She wasn't just fighting to win. She was proving something to herself. The next exchange was brutal. They moved together and apart in patterns that felt less like combat and more like conversation, speaking in bruises and broken guard. When they grappled for position and he felt the heat of her skin against his, something shifted. She felt it too. Recognition flashed in her eyes before she shoved away with unnecessary force. They circled, both bleeding from minor cuts. "You're better than the reports indicated," she said. "You're better than the entrance suggested." Her tail lashed. He was learning to read her, the way her ears flicked when thinking, the way her shoulders dropped before attacking. She lunged. He met her halfway. They collided, grappled, too close for strikes. Her tail wrapped around his waist, his hand fisted in her hair. They were pressed together, every point of contact hyper-aware. Her eyes met his at point-blank range. Something passed between them, recognition of equals. They broke apart, stumbled back. He turned to reset his stance. The crowd's roar became a gasp. Valenia went completely still. Jax didn't understand. Then he saw where her eyes had locked, on his back. His tattoo. The elaborate geometric patterns he'd won 2 years ago in a card game, from a hooded figure on a frontier station. The process had been agony, but it felt right. Beautiful, in its alien way. Valenia's expression shattered. Confidence replaced by recognition. Terror. Awe. She took a step back, then another. Then she dropped to her knees and pressed both palms flat to the sand. The submission posture was unmistakable. "Valenia," the ambassador's voice cracked through sudden silence. But Valenia didn't move. Her entire body trembled as she knelt, head bowed, hair hiding her face. Jack stood frozen, blood dripping from his knuckles, watching an alien warrior kneel like he was something sacred. "What?" he started. "The mark," Valenia whispered. "The lost mark of ancestors." Her hands pressed harder into the sand. She was crying. The arena erupted into chaos. The chamber beneath the arena was built for privacy. Reinforced walls, no windows, a single door that locked from inside. Jax had been escorted here by 4 armed guards who'd kept weapons trained on him the entire walk. Valenia sat across from him, composed in a way that seemed forced. The tears were gone, replaced by rigid control. The ambassador had been barred from entering, Valenia's order, delivered with enough authority that even Kelthrin had backed down. The silence stretched. Jax leaned back, studying her. The cut on her lip had stopped bleeding. A bruise was forming along her jaw where his elbow had connected. "You going to explain?" he said finally. "Or are we just going to stare at each other?" Her amber eyes lifted to meet his. "That mark on your back, do you understand what it is?" "A tattoo. Won it in a card game." "You won the lost mark of ancestors in a card game." Her voice went flat, from a hooded figure who disappeared before I could ask questions. The process took 6 hours and felt like someone was carving my spine out. But the price was right. This isn't a joke. I'm not laughing. She stood abruptly, pacing to the far wall, her tail lashed in agitated patterns. 12,000 years ago, my people were nothing, she said. Primitive, bound to a single world, fighting ourselves into extinction. Then the first ones came. Dax waited. They bore the mark you carry. They elevated us, gave us technology, genetic enhancements, the ability to traverse the stars. They taught us to be warriors. And then, 3,000 years later, they vanished, took every trace of themselves. She turned back. The only record of their existence is fragments in our oldest texts. So I've got a tattoo from your creation myth, Jack said. That's why you submitted? That mark is not ink. It's organic, grown into your skin, at a cellular level, in patterns that encode information our scientists still can't translate. We've tried for millennia to recreate it, failed every time. She pulled a small device from her belt. This will confirm it. May I? He nodded. She approached cautiously and aimed the scanner at his chest. It hummed, light washing over his skin. When she turned it to show him the display, his back was rendered in 3 dimensions, and the tattoo was glowing. It responds to Ashari DNA in proximity, she said quietly. Creates a resonance pattern. That's how I knew before the scan. I felt it when we fought, when we were close. Jax stared at the display. What does that mean? It means you shouldn't exist. It means either you're connected to the first ones, or someone gave you access to genetic technology that predates every civilization in known space. She deactivated the scanner. If my empire learns of this, they'll take you apart piece by piece to understand how. And you're not going to report it. I should. My duty is clear. My oath to the empire demands it. She gripped the back of her chair. But I'm also sworn to honor the first ones above all else. And if you truly bear their mark, I need to understand what this means before I decide anything. We need to understand, Jack said, since it's my skin you're discussing. The corner of her mouth twitched, almost a smile. You're taking this remarkably well. I've had a strange couple of years. So what now? I have access to restricted records, things the Empire doesn't share publicly. But I'll need time. And you'll need to stay hidden. They are, Skrit's voice said from the comm panel. Both of them spun toward the door. The panel flickered, revealing the arena master's segmented face. I don't enjoy interrupting private moments, Skrit continued, but 3 separate intelligence agencies have already filed inquiries about today's match. Can you delay them? Felinia asked. For a price. 10% of the Empire's annual arena sponsorship. Paid directly to my personal accounts. Valenia's tail lashed. That's extortion. That's business. And I'm providing a valuable service. Specifically, erasing the last 15 minutes of security footage and creating an alternate record showing Jax Rourke left the station on a transport bound for the outer reaches. Jax and Valenia exchanged glances. Done, Valenia said. Excellent. I'll have my people prepare accommodations in the lower levels. Quite secure, very private. The comm flickered off. You trust him? Jax asked. I trust that he values profit over politics. And right now, we're more profitable alive than dead. She moved toward the door, then paused. When she looked back, something in her expression had softened. In the arena, when we fought, you held back. So did you. I held back because I was proving a point. Why did you? Jax considered lying. Settled on truth, because she'd already risked everything by not reporting him. Because halfway through, I stopped wanting to hurt you. Her ears flicked forward. Surprise. That's inconvenient, she said. Yeah, we're enemies by every political and cultural definition. I know. She studied him for a long moment, then moved closer. Her hand came up, fingers hovering centimeters from his chest. May I? He nodded. Her palm pressed flat against his sternum. Her skin was warm, warmer than human baseline. She closed her eyes, and he felt the mark on his back respond, a tingling sensation spreading from his spine outward. "I can feel it," she whispered. The resonance, like recognizing something I've never known. "Is that normal?" "Nothing about this is normal," but she didn't move her hand. "The texts say the first ones chose us because we had potential, that the bond between first ones and Ashari was reciprocal, that we made them better somehow, just as they made us." "You think that's real?" "I think I've spent my entire life believing my species earned our place through strength alone, that we needed no one. And now I'm standing here feeling a connection to a human that my body recognizes even if my mind doesn't understand it." Her hand was still on his chest. He could count her heartbeat through the contact. "We barely know each other," he said. "We tried to kill each other an hour ago. That too." She smiled then, genuine and sudden. It transformed her face, made her look younger. "Poorly," she admitted. The moment stretched. The chamber was too small, the air too warm. Everything about this was a terrible idea. She withdrew her hands slowly, stepping back. The loss of contact felt more significant than it should have. "We should go," she said, "before someone overrides Skrit's arrangements. Lead the way." She moved to the door, then hesitated. "Jax, what happened in the arena?" "When I submitted, that wasn't weakness. I know. It was acknowledgement of something bigger than both of us." She nodded, shoulders relaxing. Then she opened the door and led him into the depths of the station, toward safety that felt temporary and a future that felt inevitable. The safe house was 3 levels below the arena floor, tucked into a maintenance sector where the station's life support systems hummed through the walls. 2 rooms, basic amenities, and enough distance from populated areas that screaming wouldn't carry. Valania secured the door, then moved to the room's single terminal. She changed into dark pants and a fitted shirt that still outlined every curve. "I'm accessing the Imperial Archives," she said. "Restricted files. If anyone traces this, it'll take them hours to pin the location." "Hours isn't long. It's what we have." Text scrolled across the display in angular Ashari script. "The mark isn't just a symbol," she said. "It's a genetic key. Contains encoded information that interacts with Ashari DNA. When the first ones disappeared, the marks went with them." Her voice dropped. "And according to this, it doesn't just respond to my DNA, it bonds with it." Jax stepped back. "Define bond. Shared biology. Enhanced capabilities. Extended lifespan. The first ones didn't rule us. They merged with us." "That's what the mark does. It's an invitation to partnership at a cellular level. And your empire doesn't know this?" "It's classified at the highest level. Our empire prefers the narrative that we evolved independently." Her tail lashed. "Finding out we were created, that we're designed to bond with another species, it would shatter everything." "So your empire built itself on a lie. A comfortable lie. One that's kept us unified for millennia." She stood. "I need to understand what happens when the mark activates fully. The texts describe trials, tests to prove compatibility. The lights cut out. Darkness swallowed the room for 3 seconds before emergency lighting kicked in, bathing everything in red. The door exploded inward. Jax threw himself sideways as debris filled the air. 3 figures entered, Ashari in black armor. Assassins. Valenia moved like liquid violence, closing the distance before the first assassin could fire. Her hand struck his throat. The second assassin fired. Jax felt the energy bolt sear past his shoulder as he charged, driving his fist into the attacker's solar plexus with enough force to crack armor. The third assassin was already aiming at Valenia's back. Jax grabbed debris from the ruined door and threw it. The projectile caught the assassin's weapon, knocking the aim wide. Valenia spun, her legs sweeping out to catch the assassin's knee. Bone cracked. 3 bodies on the floor. 2 dead, 1 unconscious. Valenia was breathing hard, blood from a cut above her eye. Her amber eyes found his. More will come. She searched the unconscious assassin. Found nothing. Professional kill team. My empire sent them. They found you fast. Someone in the delegation betrayed me. She stood, wiping blood away. We need to move. They ran. The maintenance corridors were a maze lit by sparse emergency lighting. Valenia led. Behind them, footsteps echoed, multiple pursuers closing distance. Left, Valenia hissed. They rounded a corner. A ladder descended into darkness. She went first, climbing down with natural agility. 20 meters down, the ladder ended in a horizontal tunnel. This leads to environmental systems, Valenia said, already moving. A bolt of energy tore through the space above Jax's head. He looked up. 4 assassins at the ladder's top. Go! They crawled. The tunnel stretched for 30 meters. Energy fire erupted behind them, melting through conduits. The heat was suffocating. The tunnel opened into environmental control, massive processors filtering the station's air and water. Valenia emerged first, then hauled Jax through. Together, they shoved a maintenance panel over the tunnel entrance. Won't hold them long, Jax said. Doesn't have to. She was already at a control console. The processor's hum changed pitch, growing louder. What are you doing? Venting this section. The pressure drop will seal all access points. Anyone in the tunnels will have about 10 seconds to get out. That includes us. Emergency exit. There. She pointed to a pressure door. We have maybe 20 seconds once I trigger this. Jax moved to the door, testing the manual release. Behind them, the maintenance panel began to buckle. Valenia, 5 more seconds. The panel shattered. 2 assassins pushed through. Jax fired, catching one in the shoulder. The second returned fire. One bolt caught Valenia's leg. She gasped, stumbling. Jax grabbed her. Now, she slammed her hand down on the console. Alarm shrieked. The pressure door began to iris open. They ran. Jax half-carried Valenia as the air pressure dropped, his ears popping painfully. The remaining assassin tried to follow, but the pressure differential caught him, throwing him backward into the processors. They tumbled through the emergency exit. The doors sealed behind them. For a moment, neither moved. Jax lay on the cold deck plating. Valenia was beside him, hand pressed to the burn on her leg. How bad? He asked. Hurts. Not fatal. She turned her head to look at him. You saved me. Twice. You saved me first. We're keeping count? Seems fair, she laughed, the sound edged with pain and relief. Jax sat up, assessing their surroundings. Another corridor, leading toward the station's outer ring. Can you walk? Can you stop asking obvious questions? He helped her to her feet. She leaned against him, her tail wrapped around his waist, steadying herself. The contact sent that familiar tingle through his spine, the mark responding. Jax, she said quietly, when you fought the assassins, did you feel anything different? He had faster reflexes, sharper awareness, like his body anticipated threats before his mind registered them. Yeah, it's activating. The bond is forming whether we wanted to or not. Is that bad? I don't know. But I've never trusted anyone the way I trusted you in that room. Never moved with anyone the way we moved together. And that terrifies me more than the assassins. She kissed him, sudden, fierce, tasting of copper and desperation. Her hand fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer despite her injured leg. He responded without thinking, his hand sliding into her hair. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, she rested her forehead against his. That was a terrible idea, she whispered. Probably. We're being hunted by my entire empire, I noticed. And the mark is biologically manipulating us into this. Maybe. He pulled back just enough to see her face. Or maybe I wanted to do that since you smiled at me in the safe house. Her expression softened. Before or after we nearly died? During. She laughed, then winced, pain reasserting itself. We need supplies, Jax said. Medical kit, weapons, a ship. I know where we can get all 3, but you're not going to like it. Why? Because it requires going back to the arena and asking Skrit for help. You're right, I don't like it. You have a better plan? He didn't. So they moved through the corridors, two warriors bound by a mark neither understood, hunted by an empire that wanted them dead, and falling into something that felt like destiny or doom. The mark on Jax's back hummed with warmth, and Valenia's hand stayed in his the entire way. Skrit's private office sat above the arena floor, protected by security systems that would make a military installation jealous. Valenia handled the checkpoints with codes she shouldn't have possessed and confidence that suggested she'd planned for this. The door opened before they reached it. I was wondering when you'd arrive, Skrit said from behind his massive desk. His eye stalks swiveled to examine Valenia's injured leg, the burns on Jax's arms. You look terrible. We need a ship, Valenia said. Fast, armed, and untraceable. Of course you do. And I assume you're prepared to pay for such a vessel? I already paid you 10% of the Empire's sponsorship. That was for erasure and misdirection. A ship is a separate transaction entirely. Skrit's mandibles clicked, particularly one capable of outrunning Ashari pursuit vessels. Jax closed the door, engaging the lock. Through the viewpoint, the arena floor stretched below, still showing scorch marks from their fight. Name your price, Valenia said. Information. Specifically what you're carrying that's worth sending Imperial assassins into my station. Skrit pulled up holographic footage showing bodies in corridors. 17 dead in the past 3 hours. Ashari kill teams don't deploy for personal grudges. Valenia's tail lashed. The fewer people who know, the fewer people who can help. I've survived 60 years by understanding when to walk away from dangerous situations, unless you give me a reason to stay invested. Jax and Valenia exchanged glances. Show him, Valenia said quietly. Jax pulled off his shirt. Skrit went completely still. All 6 eye stalks focused on the mark. His mandibles stopped clicking. That's not possible, Skrit said finally. And yet, Jax said. The lost mark. Every species knows the story. The first ones who elevated the Ashariae and vanished. But the marks were biological constructs. They died with their bearers. Skrit moved closer. There hasn't been a verified sighting in 12,000 years. Until now. Valenia said. And the Empire discovered this. How? I knelt before him in the arena, in front of half the galaxy. Ah, that would explain the enthusiastic response. Skrit pulled up more data. The political ramifications are considerable. If humanity has connections to the first ones, it changes the entire power structure. The Ashariae Empire's claim to superiority becomes questionable. Which is why we need to disappear, Jax said. Disappearing won't solve the problem. The mark exists. Others saw it. Skrit's eye stalks angled toward Valenia. Unless you have a different plan. I have access to classified research, information about what the marks actually do. If I can prove that humans aren't conquerors but partners, that the relationship was cooperative, you'll shatter your empire's foundational myths and probably trigger a civil war, Skrit finished. Bold strategy. But I've always had a weakness for long-shot gambles with high payoffs. He manipulated the display, bringing up star charts. A route highlighted in blue. There's a research station here, Skrit said, indicating a location 3 jumps away. Abandoned by the Vryn Collective, it maintains automated status, functional life support, and databases that predate most modern civilizations. If your first ones left any records, that station might have them. Why would they leave records there? Jax asked. Because the Vryn didn't build that station. They found it, just like they found most of their technology, scavenged from older civilizations. Skrit called up schematics. The core systems are ancient, possibly from the first one's era. Valenia studied the route. It's in neutral space. Also no support if things go wrong. But it's your best option for answers. Skrit closed the display. I can provide a ship. Fast courier vessel. Minimal weapons, but excellent stealth capabilities. And your price? Valenia asked. Exclusive rights to the story. When this becomes public, and it will, I want the arena to host the first official demonstration. You, him, and whatever truth you discover. Broadcast across the galaxy. You want to turn this into entertainment? Jack said. I want to turn this into history. There's a difference. The galaxy is about to change whether you want it to or not. The question is who controls the narrative? Verlenia's hand found Jax's, her fingers threading through his. The contact sent warmth up his arm. We'll need supplies, she said. Medical equipment, weapons, provisions for 2 weeks. Already being loaded. The ship is in Dock Bay 17. Security has been instructed to look the other way for 30 minutes. After that, you're on your own. Why are you helping us? Jax asked. Because in 60 years I've never seen anything truly new. And because I suspect you're going to need allies when the truth comes out. Better to invest early. He left them alone. Valenia turned to face Jax. Roses were forming along her jaw, her arms, evidence of the day's violence written across her skin. Are we doing this? She asked quietly. Do we have a choice? There's always a choice. We could run, find some colony world and disappear. Could you do that? Live with not knowing? Her ears flicked back. No. Then we're doing this. She stepped closer, leaning against him. Her hand came up to trace his jaw, fingers gentle despite Warrior's calluses. I've been trained my entire life to follow orders, to serve the Empire without question, to believe in Ashari superiority above all else. And now I'm standing here, about to commit treason, because of a mark on your back and the way you looked at me in that environmental room. How did I look at you? Like I mattered. Not as an Ashari warrior or a political asset, just as me. Jax caught her hand, held it against his face. You do matter. We barely know each other. We fought together 3 times today, saved each other's lives. I'd say that counts for something. She smiled, though it didn't quite reach her eyes. My people have a saying, trust is earned in blood, proven in battle. I suppose we've done both. She leaned up, pressed her lips to his. Brief, soft, a promise rather than passion. That should terrify me. Does it? That's what terrifies me. She pulled away, straightened despite the pain. When she looked at him again, the warrior had returned, focused, determined. We should go. Before Skrit's 30 minutes expire, they moved through the station one last time, avoiding main corridors. The mark on Jax's back pulsed with steady warmth, and he found himself hyper-aware of Valenia beside him, the way she moved, the rhythm of her breathing, the subtle shifts that telegraphed thoughts before she spoke. The bond was forming. He could feel it settling into place. Dock Bay 17 held a sleek courier vessel, all smooth lines and dark plating. The boarding ramp lowered as they approached. Inside, the ship was utilitarian but maintained. Cockpit for 2, small living quarters, cargo bay stocked with supplies. Valenia took the pilot's seat, her hands moving across controls. Ever flown before? She asked. Once or twice. Good. Because if I pass out from this leg wound you're landing us, the engines hum to life. Station control cleared them with suspicious efficiency, Skrit's influence. The courier vessel slipped free of the dock, accelerating into open space. Behind them, the arena station receded. Ahead, the first jump point glowed on navigation. Valenia engaged autopilot, then turned to look at him. Her amber eyes reflected console lights. No turning back now, she said. No. Whatever we find at that station, whatever truth is waiting, it's going to change everything. I know. She reached across, her hand funding his. Their fingers interlaced, the contact sending resonance through his spine. Then let's go find out what we're really made of, she said. The ship jumped, and the stars streaked into lines of light as they fled toward answers neither was ready to face. The research station hung in the void like a monument to abandonment. Massive, its structure spiraling outward in patterns that suggested growth rather than construction. No lights showed in the viewports, no energy signatures beyond minimal life support. It's been dead for 30 years. Volenia said, studying sensor readouts. The Vryn stripped everything valuable when they left, except the core systems, except those. They couldn't remove them without destabilizing the structure. She adjusted their approach, which means whatever's in there is either worthless or so advanced they couldn't understand it. Jax watched the station grow larger. Something about its design felt familiar, like architecture from a half-remembered dream. "The mark's responding," he said. Valania glanced at him. "How?" "It's warm. Getting warmer the closer we get." She reached across, placing her hand on his chest. Her eyes widened. "I feel it too, like a pulse matching mine." The courier vessel docked with minimal difficulty. The airlock cycled, showing green. Atmosphere stable, temperature cold but survivable. They suited up in light environment gear and weapons. The airlock opened into darkness. Their helmet lights carved tunnels through the black, illuminating corridors that curved in organic sweeps. The walls were smooth, almost metallic, but with texture that suggested something once living. "This architecture," Valenia said quietly. "It matches fragments from our oldest temples." They moved deeper. The mark on Jax's back had gone from warm to hot, pulling him towards something he couldn't see. "Left," he said. "How do you know?" "I just do." The corridor opened into a massive circular chamber, and in the center, a column of frozen light, extending from floor to ceiling in pale blue luminescence. Valenia stopped at the threshold. "That's active. It shouldn't be." Jack stepped into the chamber. The moment he crossed the threshold, the column pulsed, light spreading outward in waves that illuminated the entire space. The walls weren't walls. They were screens covered in text and imagery that scrolled past too fast to read. "What is this?" Valenia breathed. "A record, I think. Or a message." The column pulsed again, and a figure materialized in the light. Holographic, translucent, but detailed. Human, male, and on his back, when he turned, was the mark. "First ones," Valenia whispered. The figure spoke, translation layering beneath unfamiliar language. "If you're seeing this, then the mark has awakened again. Then someone has found what we left behind." The figure gestured, and imagery shifted. Showed worlds, civilizations, species rising and falling. We were not gods. We were explorers who discovered something terrible. That intelligence alone leads to stagnation. That every species reaches a plateau and stops growing. More imagery, cities frozen in time, civilizations that had achieved perfection and then stopped advancing. So we became catalysts. We found species with potential and gave them pieces of ourselves, genetic markers, biological bonds. The Ashari were one. Humanity was another, each given what they needed to push past their limits. Valenia's hand found Jax's, herping tight. "We were experiments." "Not experiments," the figure continued. "Partners. We gave you pieces of ourselves, and you gave us pieces of you. The marks are bonds. They allow our species to merge, to share strengths, to become something neither could be alone." The imagery shifted. Showed humans and Ashari working together, their forms somehow blended. But the bond requires choice. Trust. Seeing each other not as superior or inferior, but as equals. The figure's expression turned sad. "We failed to teach that lesson. Too many saw the gifts as proof of hierarchy, used the power for domination." The column flickered. The figure began to fade. "So we left, took the marks with us, sealed the records, and disappeared. We hoped that given time, the species we'd touched would learn the lesson on their own, would find each other not as masters and servants, but as partners." The figure looked directly at them. If you're here together, if the mark has bonded you, and perhaps you've learned what we couldn't teach, perhaps you're ready for what comes next. The imagery exploded outward, genetic sequences, technologies, and at the center, a simple message. The mark is a key. Use it to unlock what we built into your species. Share it freely. Let others see that strength comes not from standing alone, but from standing together. The figure disappeared. The column's light dimmed. Silence filled the chamber. Belania's hand trembled in Jax's. Everything we believed, everything the Empire taught us, it was wrong, not wrong, incomplete. We were meant to find humanity, to bond with them. Her voice broke, and instead we've spent millennia thinking we were superior. Jax turned to face her fully. Tears tracked down her face. We can't change the past, he said, but we can change what comes next. The Empire won't accept this. Then we show them. Skrit offered us the arena, a broadcast to the entire galaxy. We go back, we show them what the mark can do, and we give them proof they can't ignore. They'll try to kill us. They're already trying. She laughed, wet with tears and edged with hope. This is insane. Completely. She studied his face, searching for doubt. He let her see everything, the uncertainty, the determination, the growing certainty that whatever they'd become was exactly what the first ones had intended. The mark, she said. It's not just active. It's complete. I can feel you in my head. Not thoughts, but impressions. Emotions. I feel it too. She closed the distance, pressing her forehead to his through the helmets. Then let's be terrifying and amazing together. They spent 2 hours downloading everything from the station's database. Proof that would survive sexism. Evidence that would force the galaxy to confront its history. The jump back took 3 days. 3 days of training with the bond that connected them. Jax could anticipate Valenia's movements before she made them. She could read his intentions through the resonance. They moved together like they'd been doing it for years. When the arena station appeared on sensors, Valenia opened a channel. This is Valenia of the Ashari Empire requesting audience with Skrit. Valenia. The galaxy has been looking for you. There's a bounty that would make me wealthy for several lifetimes. Then it's a good thing you prefer long-shot gambles. We found what we were looking for, and we're ready to tell our story. Silence. Then, Dock Bay 17. I'll have cameras ready. They approached the station. Behind them, Ashari warships appeared on sensors. The Empire hadn't stopped hunting. Ahead, the arena waited, filled with representatives from every major species. Valenia took Jax's hand. Last chance to run. Where's the fun in that? She smiled, genuine and fierce. Then let's show them what humans and Ashari can be. They docked. The airlock opened. Together they walked back into the arena that had started everything. The mark on Jax's back glowed in response to Valenia's proximity, visible even through his shirt. Proof written in light that some bonds were worth fighting for. The crowd roared as they entered the floor, and the galaxy watched as 2 warriors who should have been enemies showed them what partnership truly meant.